And so it came to pass that in times gone by the mighty hero Avenger found himself ensnared in the webs of the great spider Nulak. It would not end like this, however, for the pieces were arranged on the board for one final showdown between the representatives of the many gods of Orb themselves. This then shall be the final confrontation, and all hangs in the balance for good or ill. A battle that goes beyond the physical and into the spiritual realm, a harrowing experience from which few shall escape unscathed, and yet one endures, one upon whom our hopes hang. He is Avenger. He is Ninja. I am Ninja. My parents are the heaven and the earth. My home is my body. My power is loyalty. My magic is training. My life and my death is breathing. My body is control. My eyes are the sun and the moon. My ears are sensitivity. My laws are self-protection. My strength is adaptability. My ambition is taking every opportunity with fullness. My friend is my mind. My enemy is carelessness. My protection is right action. My weapons are everything that exists. My strategy is one foot in front of the other. My trust is in quality. My way is the way of the tiger.
Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more of The Way of the Tiger. And in tonight's episode, we get our confrontation about Amin the Fidai, and I discovered he does have an illustration in the book. So, I've pulled it up here next to all the ninja moves as a nice sort of visual aid, and to make up for the fact that I couldn't find it last time. You'll notice I'm using the original old version of the ninja moves illustration that Jamie Thomson drew himself, as opposed to the new version that is provided in the new books done by a professional artist, because I feel this one has earned its place. And as a matter of respect, it's worth keeping it here for this mighty confrontation. He does look... Some of these lines, this line here and this line here, make him look very sort of fluid and... but also sort of floppy, like a bit of a rag doll. And these arms are not very intimidating, especially this one. So we're going back to the top of the section, and I've got some thoughts to throw in a moment or two, right? We have just rescued Glaivas, the Ranger, from his prison cell, but we have not yet escaped from the prison, or indeed the entire underground cavern complex of the Dark Elves. A vortex of dust stirs in the cell, and a man in a grey silk, features obscured by a balaclava, leaps out and adopts a martial stance opposite you. I did not add the A into that sentence there. He speaks, his thick accent muffled by a cloth over his mouth. I am Amin the Fidai, Upon the capture of your friend, the minions of Nolak summoned me from Upanishad to await you here. In my meditation, I have prepared for the honor of ending your life. Your skill must be breathtaking, for you stand before me now. I specialize in the killing of your Quan brethren, and killing you will be my greatest glory. It seems you have stepped into one final trap. Glaivas moves in on the Keeper whilst you face off against Amin. From what little you have read about the Fidai, they are a fanatical sect of assassins whose martial arts specialize in exploiting the weaknesses of other fighters and martial artists. Amin's empty hands twitch in anticipation of fighting you. What move will you use to attack him? And we have all of them at our disposal. The Iron Fist Punch, the Cobra Strike, the Tiger's Paw Chop, the Forked Lightning Kick, the Winged Horse Kick, the Leaping Tiger Kick, the Whirlpool Throw, the Dragon's Teeth Throw, and the Teeth of the Tiger Throw, and the Quan's Flail Kick from Book 1, the special move, which is a bit like the Summer Sword and the Lone Wolf series. You always want to use it, but you might not want to use it too often. Also, we have the opportunity for the acrobatic skill to be used. Now, let's look at any potential weaknesses we can identify. The Winged Horse Kick involves turning our back on our target, meaning we may lower our defense as a result after the kick. The Leaping Tiger Kick straight up into the air, straight up for the chin, quite unexpected. I mean, it's kind of a flying kick, but then the Quan's Flail Kick is somewhere between a roundhouse kick and a flying kick as well. The Forked Lightning Kick is a 1-2. That may work for us, as it looks like this, and they might not expect the second kick to come up. The Iron Fist Punch, straightforward punch, boxer punch, kind of a boxer punch, fairly reliable. Tiger's Paw Punch, we seem to have a bit of a backwards lean in the legs, so it may be more defensive. The Cobra Strike Punch, we seem light on the feet and ready to lean back, or to the side should we need to. For Whirlpool Throw, it's a combination of the basic Aikido low-level throw and the hippie throw, because we're bringing the hips into play there, whereas for Whirlpool Throw we would take the wrist, the typical Aikido throw would be to take the wrist and elbow, or wrist and shoulder, no, generally it's for wrist and elbow, and follow the existing momentum and guide them down to the ground. And they already overbalance themselves. The Dragon's Tail Throw, it's a bit unexpected, at least first time we use it. And he may not expect it. This, however, involves getting very close into the enemy's striking distance. No, it doesn't. We do not move in. As the enemy strikes, we step aside and then either from this side or from the other side grab the arm and wrist and take it down. But it does involve being very near to any potential weapons. Not that Amin has weapons, mind you. This is a potentially very and the Chief for Tiger Throw also interesting. This feels like it's going to be a hard fight, and I think I want to open with a throw, because when we are asked which move we wish to use to attack, I think the best option might be to not attack at all. The fact that every single move is given implies there are some traps here. And the Quan's Flail Kick is probably better as a finisher or as a surprise, a mid-fight surprise, after lulling him into a false sense of security, than as an opening attack. I think the Dragon's Tail throw, because it's the only one I have attempted in real life with lots of suitable... Well, that's not true. I learned basic Aikido throws when I was a teenager. We'll go with Dragon's Tail throw, though. It's interesting. It's somewhat original. It's section 270. You slide in, feet first, trying to sweep Amin's legs from him. Amin the Fidai has a defense against the Dragon's Tail throw of 6 or 7, and an endurance of 18, the damage of 1 die plus 2, so he hits pretty hard. If this is the first throw you have used against him of any sort, his defense is 6, not 7, as noted by the slash under defense. After your throw, he will learn how to fight and use the higher defense against all subsequent throws. Okay. I'm gonna add him to the bottom of the character sheet. And we're gonna roll 2 dice and our throw modifier of +1. That is a successful throw. Excellent. If you're successful, you hook your legs around his and twist, sending him tumbling. As he springs to his feet, you follow up with a forked lightning kick, his defense against which is 6. Remember to add 2 to your kick modifier, and if you hit him, add 2 to the damage. If we do not have the skill of Yubijutsu, I don't like the fact we have the follow-up attack written in here and we don't get to choose what it is, but our kick modifier is +2, so we're having a total of +4. 11 plus 4 is 15, a very successful kick. If only we could have that kind of damage. Well, it's a kick after a throw, so it's still a decent amount of damage. We kick him for 8 damage, reducing him to 10 endurance points. That is a good opening kick. And because we didn't fail the throw, he doesn't get to counter. We are still alive. This time, I'll go for the Quan's Flail kick. Risky, but potentially worth it. You whip your right heel round in an arc. If this is the first time you've used Quan's Flail in this fight, you catch Amin unawares of this kick. You hit him and do damage in the normal way. If you succeed, and you have the skill of Yubijutsu, you may add 1 to the damage. No Yubijutsu. We kick him. Excellent. I am not using inner force in this fight. 4 whole points. The longer Amin fights you, the more he will learn from your fighting skill and adapt his own. If this is not the first time you've used Quan's Flail in this fight, you must roll against his defense of 6. He counters with a leg swoop to buy some room. Your defense is 8. Okay. $10 is higher than an 8. With a defense of 8, I will attempt to block. Risky. We successfully block. Because it's all about conserving our endurance points for future fights. He feels a bit easy. If his defense has only been 6s and 7s so far, he's supposed to be a really good martial artist. I do like the fact that he adapts his style and improves against us over the course of the fight. Now, I think I'll go in with a Cobra Strike Punch. Keep it varied, and try not to repeat myself too much. The other thing I wanted to say is that in addition to... Oh, okay, slightly higher. Yeah. You jab your fingers at Amin's throat. If you succeed and have the skill of Yubijutsu, you don't. Okay, so his defense against the Cobra Strike is 7. Because it'll increase to an 8 on the second one. We have a punch modifier of +1 and a -2 for the successful block. So we're punching at -1. Unlikely. We didn't land a hit. It's fine. If you have not defeated Amin, then he counts against you with a twist punch to your head, so fast that you may not block it. Your defense against this is 9 though, so 9's a pretty good defense against a punch. He does not punch us in the head. Okay. Ooh, Quan's Flail is available again, and it's the same section as before. I was really tempted to write down all of the initial opening moves at the start of the fight to see if they... would change over the course of the fight. You know what, though? Let's go Forked Lightning Kick. Right? See how that goes. Ooh. You whip your foot up twice in quick succession against Amin. If you succeed and you have the skill of Yubijutsu, we still don't have it. Okay, his defense is 8. Because we've already kicked him once. Our kick is +2. And 9 + 2 is 11. Excellent. We successfully kick him. And I don't want to jinx it. Try not to roll a 1. 7 points of damage. He is defeated. Now, I was concerned because he had bigged himself up to be quite a potent assassin. It makes me wonder, is this the greatest? Is this all they could get? It feels like a bit of a difficulty spike, but more of a bit of a difficulty dip, like an easiness spike, right? Why is this fight here at all? It feels a bit irrelevant. Then again, the whole thing the initial incident with the Great Spider was much nastier than everything here in the prison. But there is the rest of the adventure to go. I didn't want to use any inner force because we haven't actually used any in combat yet at all in the entire adventure, and we've already lost 2 points, one of them a permanent loss. So I am reluctant to use inner force, especially as the other point was used in an out-of-combat situation. So, something I've noticed in both the new books is there are a lot of enemies with around 20 points of endurance. A lot of characters who are sort of equal to our skill level with heavy amounts of healing in between fights. Don't get me wrong, the original adventures would often have healing in between fights, but we'd often be able to expect to go 2 or 3 fights without being restored to full health. And endurance points would be about enduring, as in, you know, not getting ground down, surviving a handful of struggles and non-combat difficulties as well, before we'd need to recover any. as opposed to this new style, or which kind of goes back about 20-25 years, to around the time AD&D 3rd edition came out, with the idea of the one encounter day and players deciding, look, we've had our combat encounter, we've blown a whole load of resources, now we want to rest before another one, and we'll just do it tomorrow, taking it very slow and steady, and encounters being balanced around the players either being at full power or at least 2/3 of full power, as opposed to 1st and 2nd edition design attitude of the player characters are heroes, they are more powerful than the world, but the dangers and evil they go against will grind them down, and it's an endurance thing. It's like a marathon, it's like a slog, as opposed to the 3rd edition onwards sprint ethos. And I think that might be coming into some of the combat encounters in Book 0 and Book 7. But let's move on, as we have been successful in defeating Amin. And I want to take quite some pride in pointing out I managed to go the whole fight without calling him Idi Amin. Idi Amin... No! Amin crumples with the force of your last blow, lifeless. No longer will he track and kill the followers of Quan or Upanishad's dusty streets. You turn to see that the Keeper has been crushed completely by Glaivas, Ica spluttering out of his repeated stamping. Not spluttering, not of. You turn to see that the Keeper has been crushed completely by Glaivas, Ica splattering out by his repeated stamping. He regains his composure and looks back at you with a shrug, but his eyes still contain a haunted quality. At the death of their keeper, the octopus-like creatures flop down from the alcoves to leave the cells open. You see that 3 contain blocks of dark ice, each containing a prisoner. If we don't wish to free any of the prisoners, instead want to flee back the way we came with all haste, despite being shown a vision, true or not, of the Black Widow wrapping spiderwebs around the prison to prevent our escape. Otherwise, it seems touching an amulet of Nalak against the ice will free the prisoner within. Since we do not have one, you may retrieve one from the Keeper's waist sash where it lies discarded if you do not already have your own. Will you work to free the tall man in silver armour, the man in gold robes, or the stocky man in a white surcoat bearing a red cross? This is where we remind ourselves, these are part of the group of heroes from Talisman of Death. Let's try the stocky man in a white surcoat bearing a red cross, as he would be a priest. He may be able to heal us if we are injured. The tall man in silver armour would be the paladin. And the man in golden robes, a wizard, I think. Let's get the priest out first so he can help the others if they need it. You touch the amulet of a dark ice and it melts in a rush to reveal a thick-set man with a white surcoat bearing the emblem of a red cross. He appears to be in a sort of stasis, like a living statue. Perhaps his faith in Avatar protects him from this place, Glaivas says. No doubt they were waiting until they had a way to weaken his devotion. You may only select an option you have not already chosen. Let's rescue the man in silver armour. You touch the amulet of a dark ice and it melts away in a gush to leave a tall, handsome man dressed in silver armour. He lets out a blood-curdling scream and swings a meaty fist at you, ranting about Nulak, whispering inside his head. Your defense against his attack is 8. Okay. We'll just take this one. 7 is not a 9 or higher, so we're good. If he hits, he does 1 damage. And this is recycled old one from book 3 or 4. 3, I think, actually. If you still live, then after his attack he falls to his knees, clutching his head, then drops lifeless to the floor. Out of his left ear scuttle 2 small spiders, daughters of Nulak, sluggish and covered in blood. You crush one as it leaps for you, whilst Glaivas steps on the other. Glaivas looks down at the corpse and shudders. A paladin. It seems they gave him 2 of the creatures before they froze him to torture him for all eternity at the point of possession. We did see a mural on the wall in book 6 of a paladin with the spiders creeping into his mouth. This may be a callback to that. I felt the paladin on the mural in book 6 was just to show that even one as holy as he could be corrupted by these things. But this seems like a more direct link and reference to that. You may only select an option that you have not already chosen, in which case the man in golden robes is the only remaining one that we can free. You touch the amulet to the dark ice, and it melts away in a large splash to reveal a man in flowing robes of gold. The skin of his face is burnt and flaking, and he reaches down to his belt to cover it with a smiling golden mask. "You are no torturers," he croaks. You advise him that you are here to effect a rescue, although the place is now surrounded by the Black Widow's forces. "I do not have long," the mage says, grimacing, "for I was made to drink some poison of Nulak just before I was frozen. A way to preserve my pain for an eternity. My punishment for taking the talisman of death." The mage convulses. "We had a tool of fate with our crusade who knew of a cave on the 6th tier. It is said that fate holds sway there, through her representative Fortuna, and offers a quick escape from the rift, but may exact a toll. My strength withers and my staff is gone, but I sense a power from that torch you carry. If you let me draw from its power, then I can transport you both 1 tier directly above, nearer that cave." You consider whether to let him drain the power from the torch of Lumen created by your father's most powerful sorcerer. You must make your decision quickly, as poison is affecting the mage. Worse, you hear the sounds of enraged shouts coming from the next chamber. You cannot tell if it is priests or soldiers. "We must seize this chance to escape, Avenger," Glaivas says. "I cannot let them take me again. I will not." We will allow the mage to drain the power from the Torch of Lumen. He hasn't said if it's permanent, but I presume it is, so that he can teleport us. It seems to be our best option here. I don't think we get to keep the Amulet of Nulak, so I'm not writing it down. But if we're asked about it later on, then we may have it. I will add the word drained to the Torch of Lumen, in case it becomes... Well, look. If we can stay and escape without him draining the power, and this is not an auto-kill, then it will matter whether it has been drained or not. If this is the only way to survive, then I don't need to note that it's drained, because we'll just, it just won't work. Because every option going forwards will take that into account. So, we will place our trust in this magician. We don't have a lot of choice in the matter. He has magical power and we do not. The wizard touches the alabaster cone at the tip of the Torch of Lumen, and as you hold the ebony rod, you can feel the magic of the item drain away. "I have imprinted the location of the cave onto this rod," he says. Its lingering strength will guide you to Fortuna's cave after my spell. He speaks the words of magic, tottering as he does so due to the effect of the poison coursing through his veins. The wizard rushes the end of the spell. The scene before you abruptly changes. Roll 1 die. Equal chances of 3 different results. We'll just have to roll and see what we get. Because it's equal chances, we get a 4. I don't think it would be fair for any of these to be a straight auto kill. They could lead to varying levels of danger or success. We're going for the middle one. You find yourself a little disorientated, standing next to Glaivas in a tunnel lit by phosphorescent algae floating on a pool of water. A slimy green creature with a dozen arm-like protrusions leaps out of the water at you. Your defense against its sudden attack is 6. If it hits you, you must lose 1 die of endurance from its sharp bite. Okay. Defense 6 is a bit low, but hey, it's a surprise attack. It definitely gets us. We suffer 6 points of ouch. But that's okay because we got through the whole fight with, unwounded. If you're still alive, Glaivas grabs hold of it from behind and you pummel it until it is a dead, shapeless mass. Likely a freakish creation of Nil, he says. We had best not tarry in case there are more. The dark torch of Lumen prompts you onwards by the wizard's magic and leads you through a honeycomb of tunnels in the rock. So be it then. The darkness is impenetrable here in the depths of the rift. You are forced to use either the Paladin's sword or the Heart of Illustra as a light source. Fortunately, we have both. And it seems we would struggle without either. In fact, without either, we might not be able to make it this far at all. The soft white glow creating eerie shadows in the crevices as you pass. The crevices that you pass. I can scarcely believe you made it all the way down here to this accursed place, Glaivas says, his soft voice echoing, his face taut. Even the Valley of the Lich Kings pales in comparison to this cauldron of evil. At least there I could feel the breeze upon my face. You reply that you are quite far from the touch of nature here. Without sunlight either, time has little meaning here in the rift. If you have contracted the plague, you must lose 2 endurance points from a shivering fever that grips you. If you live, read on. We also have not encountered the place where we could have contacted the plague. I don't think it would have happened in Book 6. So we're doing quite well at this point. If Glaivas does not have the Paladin's sword, he asks for the scepter as he has limited skill in unarmed combat. If you agree to give him a scepter, then note that you have done so on your character sheet. Well, here's the thing. We gave him the Paladin's sword, and he is absolutely using it, so he does not ask for the scepter. The tunnel splits off into multiple sections and then branches off again, but you continue to follow the promptings of the lightless torch of Lumen. The winding tunnel opens into yet another enormous chamber, blocked at one end by a tall basalt wall and a tall keep on the right-hand side, presumably the gate castle of the 6th tier. On the other side of the chamber is a sloped surface leading to a great pit. You hear the sounds of running footsteps, possibly 2 or 3 humanoids echoing along the tunnel behind you, coming closer. Glaivas looks to follow your lead. We could use our flint to ignite flash powder to dazzle the pursuers as they round the bend. Hide on either side of the tunnel mouth with Glaivas ready to ambush the pursuers, or prepare to throw a shuriken. Flash powder is marked as used, but yeah. Okay. So we may have had a refill at some point. Start of the book, refill on everything, but I don't think we did. Even though we had the entire royal court at our disposal, these were not replenished before the beginning of book 6, somehow. I think the minus is used, the asterisk I think the asterisk is we only get to carry one of each of these and have to mark them as used. The Blood of Nil we do still have. So I say, hide. Ready to leap out and spring upon them. Yeah, I was going to say spring into ambush and realised that sounded shit, so here we go. You and Glaivas wait until your pursuers are running out before stepping forward to attack, but you halt mid-stride in shock. Hopefully that's a good thing. You are amazed to see a human warrior before you, his armour rent, his white cloak dirty and tattered, his left arm ending in a stump soaked in a bloody bandage. He has a fanatical gleam in his eyes, but it changes to warmth at the sight of you. It is your friend, Doré le Jeune of Dragonhold, who entered the rift with Glaivas. In his wake is Tafleur, the priest of Illustra, who fell with you onto the Black Widow's web, wearing chainmail and green robes bearing the symbol of a white cross. Well met, Avenger! Doré salutes you with his sword. I have driven deeper and deeper into this festering wound of a place to find Glaivas, but I see my work is already done. You briefly recount your tale, including your destination of Fortuna's cave, and then ask Tafleur how he came to be here. I was captured by the Dark Elves, Tafleur sighs. And when they took me to this tier, Doré came upon them and cut me free. I cast an augur that led us to lead us to Glaivas. We were heading for the 7th tier when it revealed that you suddenly appeared on this level. Both you and Glaivas benefit from the skilled ministrations of Tafleur and the holy touch of Doré. You may restore up to 10 lost endurance, and also be cured of plague if you have it. If you retain an injury to your face, hands, or leg caused by the Black Widow, it is healed, also, negating all penalties you suffered from this. Fortunately, that injury was already healed, but we are now restored to full endurance once more. Ooh, that is... Took away an extra line there, that's not good. Fixed it. Easy fix. If you're carrying the heart of Illustra, you give it to an astounded Tafleur, since it was looted from the cathedral of his goddess. Remove the heart of Illustra from your character sheet. You may restore 1 point of lost inner force as you do this, for the gods smile upon you. Glaivas commiserates with his friend Doré over the loss of his left hand. The Taurians say that no one leaves the rift untainted, my friend. At least we are both alive. I cut it myself when it was struck by the poison of a son of Nil, Doré says forlornly. Can you imagine me now in the 7 heavens without my left hand? This pit of filth contaminates everything. Doré asks if you still carry the blood of Nil. If you do not, he reaches into his tunic and tosses a tiny glass ointment jar to you. Restore the blood of Nil to your character sheet, just in case we'd used it earlier in our attempt to break out of the web. A carrion trophy of the fight, he says, which better fits to your skills. Now, I'm going to make a note here. We are accompanied by Glaivas, Doré le Jeune, and Tafleur. Oh god, right, yes. Yes, I spelled all those correctly. Excellent. Probably worth keeping tally. You rest just in the tunnel and share in Doré's rations of stale bread, taking a brief moment's respite to gather yourselves. You commiserate with Tafleur over the loss of Vespers. He is gone, Tafleur says, but Tybalt and Eris may still live. I could cast an augur to seek them as I did for Glaivas. They may not have been your close friends, Avenger, but no one should be left behind. If we go back, we risk losing everything, Glaivas says. The Black Widow will have alerted all her forces to attempt to stop us. It may be hard enough as it is to reach the cave of Fortuna. Dore stares at the bloody stump of his left hand morosely. We are so deeply buried in this tomb, I no longer hear the call of Rocheval. I would slay the evil at the rotten heart of this place if I had but the strength, but it seems all men must face their limits. Still, I hate to see goodly men suffer. The choice is yours, Avenger. If Glaivas has the sceptre, the general mood seems to be to agree with him, and you are left with little choice but to seek escape. Since we have the sceptre, we can side with Tafleur and seek out Tybalt and Eris, or side with Glaivas and focus on escape. I think we should try and rescue everyone. They would do the same for us. Tafleur smiles at you and your companions, who ready yourself with grim determination. Then Tafleur closes his eyes and whispers a fervent prayer, casting his augur. I'm pretty sure they mean augury. Augur would be a person who performs an augury. Or a drill. Yeah, I know. I cannot hear the words of Illustra this deep, he murmurs, yet her power stretches far. I believe I know the way. You set off back into that honeycomb of tunnels, with Glaivas giving a last melancholy glance at the gate castle as he leaves. We did not join Tybalt in his pursuit of Cassandra and let him go on his own way, leaving him to go and rescue Glaivas. So this is where that important fact comes up. You follow Tafleur's lead through the myriad of tunnels, Dore's sword lighting the way, descending deeper into the bowels of Orb. Your tension increases with every step back towards the 7th tier, but you are committed to your task. You come across Eris and Tybalt in one cavern, fighting for their lives against the red-robed Dark Elves, the personal bodyguard of the Black Widow. Eris's foot has been stuck to the ground by some sort of webbing net thrown by the guards. You charge in alongside Dore, Glaivas and Tafleur. You must win this fight quickly before more forces arrive. A group of 3 guards run over towards you. The nearest pulls out bolas to ensnare you, whilst the other 2 wield scimitars. We could launch a leaping tiger kick at the nearest, and then a whirlpool throw to send the last 2 into each other. Slide into a dragon's tail throw against the nearest, trying to send him into his fellows. We use a Quan's flail kick to slam the nearest dark elf into his companions. You know what? It's usually the best option. We'll go for it. All the way back up here. We are whizzing all around the book at the moment. You whirl on the ball of your left foot, lashing around with your right heel at the bolas-wielding dark elf. His defense against your move is 6, unless you've already tried this once, in which case it is 7. No, we haven't. Not against him, anyway. It's a straight-up kick. Against a defense of 6, we absolutely kick him. If you're successful, you do not manage to send him into his companions, and instead slam his head clean off. It stops the other 2 in their tracks, wiping blood to clear their vision until they are hacked down by Dore. Wow. Kicking a man's head off, that is insane. There must be something very wrong with the structural integrity of his neck. I mean, there is now. If Glaivas has the Paladin sword, he does. Which is probably better than him not having it. Your companions have dispatched the remaining Dark Elf guards and waste no time in falling back the way you came. Tybalt freeing Eris from the webbing around his foot and helping him on outwards. You and Tafleur lead the way, but turn when you hear skittering along the tunnel behind you. Dozens of yellow-striped spiders the size of dogs ascend the tunnel after you, some across the ceiling. Glaivas and Dore fight a rearguard action to protect the group, Ica splattering around him with every strike. So, Eris and Tybalt. So, with the exception of Vespers, we got a full party here. You continue upward, and all signs of pursuit fade as you traverse the dozens of honeycomb tunnels. So this is why Glaivas having the sword is important for this section, because it was helping fight a rearguard action, not to do with helping finish off the foes before we retreat. All signs of pursuit fade as you traverse the dozens of honeycomb tunnels, guided by the spell on the dark torch of Lumen, led back to the tunnel outside the gate castle of the 6th tier, where you all stop to rest a moment. Tybalt thanks you profusely for returning to save him and Eris, but you hold up a hand to forestall him. You have to move on before the forces of the Black Widow catch up with you. Note that you have rescued Tybalt and Eris. We have indeed. I've also noted that we've saved Glaivas, Dore Lejeune and Tafleur, although those are all presumably with us now at this point anyway, and that's why it doesn't need noting. You turn your attentions to getting past the gate castle here on the 6th tier, so you can all seek escape. We must wait until the gates open to admit others, then launch a sudden assault through them, Dore says, banging his breastplate with his mailed right fist. We would force our way onward before any great forces can be marshalled. Before any greater forces. Glaivas shakes his head. Throwing caution to the wind will only lead to capture, Avenger. You could steal in unnoticed, kill the sentries, and open the gate for us to sneak through. I only wish I had my bow so that I could aid you. I have not descended 6 tiers of the rift through timidity, Dore retorts. Yet I was captured through undue boldness, Glaivas replies. Tafleur clears his throat. I think we should use a ruse. The corpses of my dark elf captors are not far from here, and we could pass through dressed as them. The disagreement grows more heated. If you give him Glaivas the scepter, then he may just overrule us all anyway, which means maybe his plan is the worst. Otherwise, ultimately, everyone looks at you to adjudicate. We could follow Dore's counsel now, or that of Glaivas or Tafleur. If we go sneak in alone, it's the most potentially dangerous to us. If we try rush them as a group, I don't know. The disguises would let us maybe get close enough to launch a full-on assault, or just walk right through. We're not going to have to discard our weapons or anything anyway, right? Also, to be clear, from this point on, it becomes considerably more blind. Last time, I was again restless and did, skim ahead a bit. Let's see. Here's the thing. Up to this book, in our past dealings of him in Book 1 and Book 2 and Book 4, no, Book 1 and Book 3 and Book 5, Glaivas has been a valuable companion who gives good advice. Now he is compromised, he is weakened, he's desperate, he doesn't want to be captured again. And apparently giving him the scepter seems to go to his head, and he tends to use it at every possible opportunity. Fortunately, we have not done that, so we cannot trust in his usual wisdom here. Dore Lejeune is courageous, possibly to the point of being foolhardy. He will take the most honourable option, which is often quite a good one, but not necessarily the wisest in terms of getting everyone through alive. Whose advice did we follow last time? Tafleur. and it led to the rescue of Eris and Tybalt. You'll notice that Tybalt and Eris do not have any input on this conversation, which would strongly suggest to me that this plays through the same way regardless of whether in the party or not, to avoid duplicate sections. Tafleur has given good advice and we've relied on it. That doesn't mean we should do so every single time. And Dore Lejeune probably deserves our trust. Look, he's not going to lie. He's not going to give us bad advice. He just might not give us the best advice. And I seem to vaguely remember that following his plan, we get asked if Tybalt and Eris are with us, and it does affect our chances of success, not necessarily in a positive way. Because if we went back to save them, the forces at the gate may have had time for additional reinforcements. I think we'll go with the disguise option and hope that works. The gods have given us no chance. No. The gods have given us this chance, Tafleur says, and he and Dore lead your group into the tunnels to where they left the bodies of the Dark Elves that had abducted Tafleur. The others change into as much of the black armour as they can, although Dore wears the midnight blue robe of a sorcerer and keeps his armour on beneath it. You will be our prisoner, Avenger, Tafleur says. They cannot fail to open the gates to us when they see you escorted there by Dark Elves. You agree, and soon are led back before the wall of the gate castle. Its keep looming before you with every step. The stone doors open, and you are met by a party of half a dozen green-armoured insect-like humanoids, each with 4 arms and ant-like heads, almost like free Kreen. They are mostly armed with pikes, and they greet your group with clicks of apparent glee. They stop your group and seem to demand something, but their language is alien to you. Dore draws his sword and charges into their midst, and the rest of you follow in your attack. An unarmoured insect sorceress with 4 wings on her back flies in, invoking the rock before her to change shape and knock back Dore's mad charge. She then spots you and her mandibles click, and her soldiers turn to focus on you. Note you may have +1 to the modifier for your next attack only due to the element of surprise. If Tybalt and Eris are with you, they are. Excellent, well, that'll help, surely. If not, but Glaivas has a weapon. If Glaivas has no weapon... Wow. How would Glaivas have no weapon? I'm not sure that's an option. Anyway, Tybalt and Eris are with us to help make this fight a little bit easier. Let's see how they do. Too far. Eris casts a night bolt spell that the blue-robed sorceress is forced to counter by drawing up a shield of stone from the ground before her. Dore, Glaivas, Tybalt, and Tafleur are each in combat against a guard, leaving you to fight against 2. You focus on the crossbow-wielding one. His defense against your leaping tiger kick is 5, and we get a +1 bonus on this. And he drops his crossbow for his knife in panic. If you hit, he is stunned and then dispatched by one of your comrades. Well, guess what? Our kick hits a yeah, 11 is much higher than 5. If not, then he manages to cause you a loss of 3 endurance with his knife before you follow up with a vicious throat punch to incapacitate him, but he's already been taken down by one of our friends. If you live, this just leaves you with 1 pike-wielding opponent. He charges in, and your defense against this is 10. Excellent. Well, enemy attacks never have a modifier. A 5 does not beat a 10. We're fine. You're about to counterattack with a tiger's paw chop, but your group overcomes the remaining insect warriors, slaying them all except for the blue-robed sorcerer who flies towards the keep tower, making a rapid clicking noise you can only presume is a call for more guards. "Onwards!" shouts Dore, a mad gleam in his eyes. You lead the rush forward into and through the gate castle, guided by the torch of Lumen to pick the right-hand lava tube beyond the wall. And onwards we go to section 171. Yes, this way. The lava tube is a long channel crusted with minerals, and the sounds of your group's footfalls and armour echo along it. Still, your sensitive hearing picks up a noise along the tunnel from the way you just came. You barely have a moment to throw yourself to the ground and shout out a warning as hundreds of small, white bat-like creatures fly past you along the tunnel, releasing ear-splitting screeches as they go. The noise of their passing fades, although your ears still ring. You get back to your feet, as do your companions. "Of all the encounters in this place," Tafleur says, "that was surprisingly one of the more pleasant." "They may portend a deadly outcome," Glaivas says. "They must have been released by the gate castle, perhaps to warn whatever lies ahead of our presence, or to inform the Black Widow. Either way, we had best hurry." You continue on at a brisk pace. If you have noted on your character sheet that you gained revenge against Chutchev and Form, I did not do that. And I know many of you wanted me to start a fire and gain revenge against them, but I did not, because I felt that was not the right time, and there would be a better showdown in the future. So, we absolutely did not gain revenge against them. Okay, bit further. You walk along the lava tube for some time to emerge into a rocky chamber which has 3 exits on the far side. The darkened torch of lumen indicates that the one on the right is the way to the Cave of Fortuna, another right-hand tunnel. Definitely a more modern author, not using the fighting fantasy rules. He thinks he's being tricky and trying to catch people out for using the fighting fantasy rule, or he just is a reverse fighting fantasy rule player. Anyway. Or he's a nightmare player where you always had to turn right even when there was a straight ahead option. If Tybalt and Eris are with you, they absolutely are. And it apparently matters. Bit far. Okay. "Something is wrong," Eris says, halting abruptly. "I sense magic in this chamber. We can hurry on for the cavern, or stop and try and discern the source of Eris's unease. Yes, let's do that. Because we know Form is a master of illusion. And as a player, we know we've just been asked if we tried to kill him or not. Tafleur, Dore, Tybalt and Glaivas all come to a stop too, tense and on guard. The floor of the chamber disappears to reveal a mouth-like aperture in its centre filled with fangs and a long, forked tongue. Out of your emerald eye you can make out an invisible shape peeking out of the centre tunnel ahead. Form, the caster of the illusion that the floor had been safe. He steps back into the tunnel as soon as he sees you looking at him. Dore hacks at the tongue, but it darts away too quickly, lashing like a whip, leaving him tottering around over the fanged mouth. You must intervene, performing a cobra strike with your lightning reflexes to try and catch the forked tongue. Its defense is 6. And we have a punch modifier of +1. We fail, getting a mere 6. If you fail, it will lash you for 1 endurance point of damage, so fast that you cannot defend yourself. You can retry with another Cobra Strike if you survive. Okay. Well, since we're on full health, we'll try again. A 10. Excellent. If you succeed, you catch it and wrestle to hold it as your companions all hurry along the side of the chamber and on into the right-hand tunnel for the Cave of Fortuna. Then, after a final yank of the tongue, you race past it to join Eris and the others. Sounds like a plan. The tunnel slithers on, sometimes turning back on itself, sometimes running almost perfectly straight, but eventually it leads out into a cavern unlike any you have seen before. On the open expanse next to a chasm, illuminated only by the red light from a cave entrance, at the distant far side, are enormous petrified worms, their sinuous bodies protruding at intervals from the stony ground. Emerging from the chasm are horse-sized spiders, each ridden by a red-robed dark elf, the vanguard of the Black Widow's forces arriving to try and cut you off. As your group maneuvers, you launch a kick to try and hurl back your nearest foe, keen on keeping moving and avoiding getting pinned. If Tybalt and Eris are with you, you may deduct 6 from the enemy's endurance to reflect Eris blasting it with a lightning spell before its approach. Excellent. Spider Rider now has 12 endurance, and that rhymes. Oh, double attack. Oh, nasty. Right, I see. Okay. Its defense against a leaping tiger kick is 5. We hit a defense of 8. That's perfect. And deal 8 damage, knocking it down to a combined endurance of 4. We have not defeated the Spider Rider. So we face an attack from the spider, then another from the rider. Your defense against the spider's slashing legs is 9, and your defense against the rider's scimitar is 8. You may attempt to block only one of the attacks. Okay, well. We are defense 9 against the spider. A 4 fails to hit us, and defense 8 against the rider. A 7 fails to hit us. If you're still alive, you may perform another leaper tiger kick, as detailed above. Okay, we will do that then. An 8 is very successful. And a kick damage, 5 points, enough to end this foe. Potentially quite deadly if 1 or 2 of the attacks had hit. We have defeated the Spider Rider. Spiding Tiger? Yes, Spiding Tiger. Which is another way of saying Spider Rider if it's gone 3 o'clock in the morning. And you're playing the last book of Way of the Tiger. You have no time to rest after defeating the mounted foes, as you see the monstrous heaving form of the Black Widow crawling up out of the chasm like a dark nightmare. Her chelicerae clack together in her mouth, and more spider riders scuttle forth from the chasm to attack. Glaivas absolutely has a weapon. Your group race onwards for the distant cave mouth, passing underneath an arch created by a petrified worm. We did not gain revenge against Cassandra, because if we did, we probably wouldn't have got this far anyway. And if we had gained revenge against Cassandra, we would also possibly not have been able to rescue Tybalt and Eris. So, on we run. Cassandra steps out from behind a broken stone body. Cassandra steps out from behind a broken stone worm body, a crossbow levelled in her hands, the left side of her face caked with dried blood from a head wound. "This is tipped with the blood of Nil," she says. "Give me the sceptre and I will leave you be. Be quick about it." If you have some flash powder and wish to use it, if you have a skill of poison needles and wish to use it, we have neither. Otherwise, you must rush Cassandra as she fires the crossbow at you. You have little chance at short range, perhaps only helped by the fact her left eye is gummed half shut with dried blood. Your defense against the bolt is 5, unless you have arrow cutting, where your defense is 10. One of the very first skills we chose was arrow cutting. She rolls a double 1. As it is not a regular bow, you may also not try to block it. If you are hit, you must take 1 die plus 2 damage from the bolt itself and a further 1 die damage from poison, unless you have immunity to poisons to avoid the latter. It seems Cassandra lied about the blood of Nil being the poison used, and that it is more likely some poison of Nulak, and it also completely missed. If you are alive, your group join the charge against Cassandra, who falls back for cover amongst some broken rocks that obscure her from you. You have no time to pursue, as more spider riders scuttle in and the Black Widow creeps up and along one of the giant petrified worms. The cave mouth still appears clear ahead of you. We have not gained revenge against Chuchev and Form, so It seems they're going to get one last chance to mess us up. Despite the pursuit of the Black Widow and her forces, your face falters. The guidance of the Torch of Lumens seems to be fading now. Perhaps you have tarried too long, for it mentally directs you into solid rock rather than the cave mouth directly ahead. We could hasten into the cave mouth, or trust in the magic spell and head for the rock's wall, which is probably an illusion put there by form. We trust the torch. You appear to be running into solid rock, and your companions call out to you as if you had gone mad. If Glaivas is carrying the scepter, you and your group all decide to follow his lead instead, back to the cave mouth. No, we're not going to do that, because I have it. So, we carry on running to section 225, which is somewhere around here. You continue forward steadfastly, and just as you're about to walk face first into the rock face, the illusion of it disappears to reveal the mouth of the cave, softly lit and red. You're almost there, implying that the open cave mouth we were being directed to may have contained our foes, or just our doom as the enemies would catch up on us and we'd go to the wrong place. Right, 388. A jet shoots out to cover the mouth of the cave in webbing before you can run inside. You whirl to see that it was caused by the Black Widow, who is perched on the head of one of the giant petrified worms. Dore covers the retreat of the party, cutting down a spider rider that gets too close. Then a giant raven glides over from the darkness to land near you beside the cave mouth. A mysterious hooded figure in black robes steps from the raven. In black robes steps from the raven, not robes and raven. I can get you beyond this webbing. Bloody hell, wedding! Oh, it is late, isn't it? Wouldn't mind a wedding, although running away from a giant spider, stopping for a wedding would probably just get us killed. So now is not the time. I can get you beyond this webbing, but first I need the scepter to secure my position as the new keeper of the Forbidden Sanctuary. The hood is drawn back slightly to reveal the speaker is Foxglove. Since you killed the previous keeper, the Black Widow's rulership of the Dark Elves is in doubt. Perhaps one of the two other Mother Spiders will now try to seize power. Either way, I intend to profit. Not even death can release me from the Black Widow's blood curse, but with the power of the scepter I'll be free of her geyser. Glaivas does not have the scepter. We have played Book 6. Taflor was not enchanted by Foxglove. We have played Book 6. We were not enchanted by Foxglove because we played the old version and not the new version. And so, as none of these applies, I imagine Glaivas doesn't have to hand over the scepter. Taflor will not attempt to take it from us, hand it over, and we will not be compelled to. So it appears we have free choice in the matter. It's also worth noting, Foxglove doesn't wish to escape anymore. She had begged us to help her escape. But now she doesn't want to escape, she wants to rule down here as the new keeper of the sanctuary. Foxglove is silent, waiting for your response as time ticks away. We do not have an Onyx Spider token. I imagine she could ignite it to make us very uncomfortable. If this is the first time you've encountered Foxglove in this book, and you have played Book 6 Inferno to see Foxglove either exiled or separated from you, this is not the first time we've encountered her in this book. If this is the first time you have encountered Foxglove in this book, but the last you knew in Book 6 Inferno she was dead, no, none of these have played. Okay, so section 409, so she doesn't need to explain her presence to us. We already know there is magic keeping her here. Foxglove casts a nervous glance back at the Black Widow. I heard of your paladin's misfortune, she says. As a show of good faith against the Black Widow, here is something that was taken from one of his crusader brethren a long time ago. The gauntlet will function exactly like a hand. The bearer has simply to will it. She tosses a silver gauntlet to you. You can pass it to Dore or throw it away into the chasm. This is a really tough choice. Is he the only one who can control it? Or can some kind of villainous foe control it against us later on, or in fact, in the very near future? Why is Foxglove offering this to try and buy our favour? Is it a genuine item and she's just trying to gain goodwill? Or is it a trap? So I'm thinking, if we give it to him, can Foxglove command it? Probably not. That's not quite the kind of magic she uses. But some other villain later on may be. If we throw it away, we're throwing away a possible advantage. However, we could get into the kind of situation later on where Dore, say, falls over the edge of a chasm and is holding on with one hand. Does he have a second hand to offer us to pull him out of there, or not? He is brave and heroic and would happily go on without such an item. Part of me feels that we can trust this gauntlet, at least in the immediate near future. Wait. So, what if he is somehow dominated and mentally controlled, unlikely though that may be, later on? Then he'll have a second functioning hand to use as he wills. I don't know. I mean, we may need to get him a two-handed weapon at some point. I just don't know. I'm going with my gut here, and I will pass it to him to do with as he wishes. He is a valued companion, a mighty warrior, and a trusted ally. Note on your character sheet that Dore has the silver gauntlet. Now, I'm going to absolutely note that. And hope it does not come back to haunt us later on as a really poor decision. I suppose you can all let me know in the comment section if you know how this choice may have, if I've made a bad decision or not. I suppose it won't matter until I reach the end of this playthrough, living or dead. Then I'll either have to go back and replay the book and go, oh, do not touch that gauntlet with a 10-foot barge pole, or not. He attaches it to his left wrist. He looks on in wonder as it flexes and twists at his will, as if it were a real hand. She asks again for the scepter as dozens of spider riders form a semicircle around you and start to close in under the emotionless gaze of the Black Widow. You must act quickly or all your escape thus far has been for nothing. We have travelled with Eris. Otherwise, we can try to burn the webbing with a torch or surrender the scepter. Eris is with us. Let's see what he can do. He is the chaotic wizard, and so somewhat unpredictable. Eris swallows nervously and whispers to you, "Would that I could burn through the web, but I have no magic left save for a simple artifice spell." "That is all you need," we say, and hide the scepter under your clothing. He speaks a few words of magic, and the torch of lumen changes in shape into the likeness of the scepter, which you lay on the ground near the giant raven. Apparently oblivious to the deception, she reaches into her robes to produce an onyx and diamond spider token, which she touches to the webbing. The web melts away. Then she grabs a false scepter from the ground and with a triumphant laugh mounts her giant raven. "We have each outplayed the gods, Avenger. I bid you farewell." Her raven speeds her away. With a nervous glance over your shoulder at the army of the spider riders, you group hurrying on into the cave, hoping it will prove to be your final salvation against the forces of the Black Widow. And I am now going to remove the drained Torch of Lumen from my equipment list. I should have also removed the Heart of Illustra. There we go. You are surrounded in a red glow, and when it fades, your companions have all seemingly disappeared. You are in a cave lit by glowing red crystals. Before you stands a pale, blindfolded woman dressed in bizarre raiment of red and gold, and carrying a strange sword behind her back. That is bizarre raiment indeed, although we seem to see a yin-yang design there, which may be important going forwards. Around her neck are numerous brass neck rings, and her smooth head is hairless. I thought I saw what appeared to be hair in the illustration there. Unless this is supposed to be some kind of headdress, completely covering the scalp. With a semblance of hair, actually, in the framing of the headdress anyway. But I'm talking more these yellow with red streaks going back like hair. Behind her, a circle of shimmering multicolored crystals is on the ground. "Welcome, Avenger," she says. "I am Fortuna, Fate's chosen guardian in this blighted place. Do not fear, not even the Black Widow can enter here against my will." You start to ask about your friends, but she holds up her left hand. They too stood where you do now, and have cast aside the physical world to walk their own journey. All are bound to their own fate. My mistress offers the hope of a return to the surface, although your path will be beset by challenges. Unfortunately for you, even good fortune has a price. You ask if anyone has used this route successfully. Indeed, the last was the dark elf Shadazar when she left to attack Ersmancast. Fate deals in both good and evil. None may understand the workings of fate but fate herself. I am ready, you say. That remains to be seen, Fortuna says, for you have not yet outmaneuvered all the deities of evil and chaos who oppose their own god. I regret that I can provide you no solace from the obscenity that even now seeks to befoul your path along the spirit plane. Damnation or salvation, death or redemption, your fate awaits. A moment later you step forward into the crystal circle. Probably a rather good point to leave the adventure. However, I'll at least read this section. You stand under a dark sky beneath the nacreous glow of a washed-out moon that comes and goes as if by divine whimsy. Along a path before you is a great edifice of dark crystal, its walls slanting at bizarre, incomprehensible angles, the whole structure twisting as you watch. Its gate lies open, illuminated in shifting colours. Around you is a countryside landscape of bamboo groves. From somewhere in the forest you can just hear the Catechism of the Redeemer being sung by a male voice. You look down at your hands and see that they seem shadowy and wraith-like, as you scrutinize your surroundings, they take on an ethereal quality. You must add your current endurance and inner force. The total becomes your spirit score, which you should record on your character sheet. So, 19 and 3. Our spirit score is 22. If your spirit score ever reaches 0 or less, your adventure ends. There is no maximum to your spirit score, and you may raise it above its starting value should you find a way. For the duration of your time in this domain of fate, you will not be able to use any ninja skills, items, or modifiers except your fate modifier. You must add or subtract your fate modifier whenever you try to punch, kick, or throw someone. We could make our way into the bamboo grove towards the singing, or make our way towards the open gate of the edifice. Now, when skimming ahead, I've looked about 2 sections down the singing path, and that's it. Haven't looked down the open gate of the edifice path at all. I wonder if our companions are all in here and we can meet them and help them with their tests. It's also a convenient way of getting rid of them all, so that not all of them need to be there at the end of the adventure. I do feel, though, that this is a good point to leave the adventure here. I might throw in an extra episode sometime, at some point during the week, to try and finish this one a little sooner, because there are a few other games coming up that I'm interested in. And I could enjoy the post-Way of the Tiger break before something else to slip in a new game. That being said, I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and I am genuinely concerned about giving the Silver Gauntlet to Dore Lejeune. I have no idea if it was a good or bad idea. That's not true, is it? I had lots of ideas as to why it could be good, and lots of ideas as to why it could be bad. But I'm trusting him to use it wisely and honourably, and hope that there's not some kind of villainous demon that can control it against his will or something that we'll have to deal with later on. So I'll say goodbye for now then, and see you all in the very next episode. I hope you all enjoyed this one, and don't forget, we're all ninjas.